When most scholars talk about the birth of philosophy, or at least the birth of Western philosophy, they talk about this man, Thales of Miletus. So, what was so special about this man and this town that he was from? Well, let's talk about this very special person and this very special place, 6 centuries BCE. So 600 years before the birth of Jesus. Miletus was an affluent seaport town. Why was that important? You're reading right now an excerpt from a textbook that talks a little bit about that. Maybe pause the video at this point and ask yourself, what were some of the attributes of this special town that made it unique and made it ripe for the birth of philosophy? So its affluence was one of those things, right? People don't do philosophy when they're starving to death, right? You may have heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but even if you haven't, it's probably pretty common sense that people don't start thinking about their higher order needs, like a more abstract philosophy, when they are struggling to meet their needs, like, food and clothing. Also, the fact that it was a seaport. Why was this important? Well, as a seaport, they're communicating with traders and with people from all over the known world. Not only that, they are communicating with the people that they are communicating with. They are sharing stories with everybody in the whole world, and so just in the same way that when we first go to college, for instance, we might start interacting with a new set of people. Maybe in high school, we only met a few kinds of people, the same sort of people that populated our hometown. Maybe then we go off to college and then we meet a whole diverse group of people. That's what happened with me. It was the first opportunity I ever had to live and work alongside people who didn't look just like me and didn't think just like me, and I loved it. And I decided right away I'm never leaving. This is the place for me. My eyes opened, and I said I have so much to learn, and this is the place for me. Well, as you might imagine, you begin to question all kinds of things. So, maybe everybody has their own myths and explanation, including their own gods, maybe their own explanation for, why it rains. Maybe one group of people thinks it rains because of this god or goddess, and another group says no, it's because of this other thing. Well, when your ideas are challenged by these different they run into these completely different set of ideas, and they are challenged. That causes us to think, and that's what happened, I think, at the in this affluent seaport town of Miletus, 6 centuries BCE. These people began to have their ideas challenged, and people like Thales began to think and to wonder. By the way, I think this is a really good thing. I think that we should never be afraid to challenge our ideas. The the true ideas will stand up to scrutiny. So um, don't be afraid to challenge your ideas, because we need to get rid of our biases and prejudices. We'll never be able to build wisdom if we try to build upon prejudices and these things. We've got to get rid of those things. Well, anyway, Thales. There are all kinds of legendary stories about this man Thales. I'm going to let you read about those legendary stories. In the classroom, I like to tell a lot of these apocryphal stories, but I won't bore you with all of them in this video. Here, what I'd like to emphasize are these two important questions that Thales asked. Number one, where did the world come from? And number two, what is the world made of? And these two interrelated questions, where did the world come from and what is the world made of? He had one answer. What was it? Well, Thales thought that there must be one originating cause, one primordial substance, one basic building material. What was it? Well, he thought it was water. Okay, he's wrong, but nevertheless, I think it's really important that Thales gave this answer. I think it was kind of ingenious. Why ingenious if it's wrong? Let's think about why he might have suggested that water was this uh, is this primordial substance from where everything comes. Well, what are some reasons? Well, first of all, he's there at this seaport surrounded by water, so he sees water everywhere. He probably understood that our bodies and the bodies of all living things are made up largely of water, and that all living things require water constantly in order to survive. Very, very important. Furthermore, water uniquely can take different forms. Now, it's not the only thing that can take different forms, but in the ancient world, it was pretty unique in that we could see water in the form of liquid water and solid ice and gas as steam, and maybe some forms in between, like sleet and slush. May not be completely unreasonable for Thales to have thought that rocks and trees were highly condensed forms of water. Water was necessary to keep things alive, but not only that, but inside of seeds there is moisture. There is a moisture inside seeds that's capable of making new life, not only in the seeds of plants, but in animals, the seeds of man, the seed of man, not to be too crude about it, but the sperm of humans and animals, this very special kind of water that can create new life. That's amazing, right? Well, that's very, very special. Frogs and worms seem to appear wherever it has recently been raining. Thales speculated that maybe they were spontaneously generated. Well, anyway, Thales wasn't correct. But let's not get hung up on the fact that his answer was wrong. Let's think more about how important his questions were. His questions were important, And the way that he looked for his answers were important. He asked interesting and important questions, and the way that he went about it, he was looking for natural rather than supernatural or mythical explanations. This is why Thales is so important. This is why we often say that Western philosophy begins with Thales.